A reflection for the Feast of the Holy Family, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Praise be Jesus Christ, now and forever. Today's Gospel is based on that finding in the temple, and it is most certainly a family affair, isn't it? The Holy Family. Why is it called holy? Is it because the mother of the family is the sinless and immaculate Mary? Is it because the foster father has 3 encounters with angels? Is it because the only child in the family is the Son of God? Let's remember what holy means. To be holy is to be set apart for divine service, worship. In the Old Testament, the children of Israel were set apart from other nations as their special vocation. That is why the desire to be like the other nations and have a king was against the will of God for them. We can draw the parallel with the Catholic Church. The Church is one, holy, Catholic, and apostolic. She is set apart because of her special vocation in the world. Our mission to convert other nations has been somewhat blunted in recent decades by an inadequate understanding of ecumenism and interreligious dialogue. The Church remains the place in which we find salvation. Extra ecclesiam nulla salus. Outside the Church, there is no salvation. One danger within the Church today has been a form of enculturation into the values of the world, to be like the rest. One form of this is to buy the Marxist analysis that all institutions are based on a power struggle and that the Church is no exception. There is oppression from the hierarchy. The world wanted it both ways with Pope Benedict, God rest his soul. He was going to be the Panzer Pope who would march in and overturn the Second Vatican Council, ignoring the fact that he was one of the most influential architects of that very council. When people belatedly realized that he was a gentle, mild-mannered theologian, they accused him of not having done enough to sort out the Church. That thinking is all about power. We need to remember that the Church has been set apart by God to be holy. That is her end. She will worship God in perpetuity at the end of time. And she starts now. So, is the Holy Family set apart? In one way, it's an amazingly normal family. If you or I had lived in Bethlehem and heard or seen what was going on, I suspect that we would have treated the Holy Family as celebrities. Shepherds with visions of angels, richly dressed foreigners with amazing gifts, all that, perturbation in Jerusalem, prophecies of the future in the temple by Simeon and Anna. Later on, prodigious learning displayed by the boy from nowhere. No, the family went home and got on with life. They don't seem to have had any difficulties with the paparazzi, just another family. Perhaps the Duke of Sussex might have learned a thing or two from them. Of course, we know that Our Lady was set apart from the moment of her spotless conception. Indeed, she was in God's plan from before the world was made. There's a good case which has been made for saying that Our Blessed Lady and St. Joseph had agreed beforehand that they would remain celibate even within marriage, set apart from others. although not unique in that respect. Mary may well have made a vow of virginity to God before she even met the angel. The perfect tabernacle in which the Son of God would grow for 9 months. And yes, thereafter, a family home like no other. Scott Hahn points out that we move from kadosh to hagios when we move from the old covenant to the new. It's not just a change of language from Hebrew to Greek. The Old Testament was focused on holy places and a holy nation. The New focuses on the Holy One. The Holy Family is holy because the Son of God is a member of that family. Is he a member of our families? Do we strive for the holiness befitting the presence of the Son of God in our midst? And towards the end of his book on the subject, says that holiness is a property of God, a characteristic. It's an adjective to describe him. You might say that the way the neighbors might have said of Jesus, he's got green eyes. But we can apply the word holy to anything that belongs to God. There's the Holy Church, holy days of obligation. Think about that. Those days belong to God. That's why scrambling to get to Mass on Sundays isn't the whole of it. It's the day which belongs to him. Let's search our consciences about whether we have actually given it to him. The Holy Father, the Holy Family belongs to him. Remember that the shepherds came down and found what? The Holy Family. Mary, Joseph, and the infant. Not just Jesus on his own. If the Holy Family is set apart like this, well, where does that leave you and I? When I was a child, there were certain families in the street where you were allowed to go and others where you weren't. Would I have dared to have knocked on the door of the Holy Family? Of course. We would have found a welcome there. We still do. And our families belong to him too. That's why sacramental marriage is so important. Why St. Paul counsels us against being unequally yoked. Family life is not just good for society, it is part of belonging to God. Of course, we can find holiness in whatever state of life we are in, provided that it's not sinful and it is God's will. But God has designated the family as a special means for the growth in knowledge and love of him, advancing in wisdom and grace. We are set apart. And yet there is something ordinary and everyday about our struggle. Ralph Martin relates how Mother Teresa of Calcutta, now Saint Teresa, was asked how it felt to be called a living saint. That's a real journalist question, isn't it? But she didn't get embarrassed. You have to be holy in the position you are. And I have to be holy in the position God has given me. There's nothing extraordinary about being holy. It is simply a duty for you and for me. So let's roll up our sleeves and get on with the task of being saints. Getting on with the task of creating our holy families and the task of bringing others to Christ, because it is in the family that we encounter those who are seeking God, who come knocking on our door. We thank God for our families and the help they give us to reach heaven. We pray for them, especially those who have gone before us, marked with the sign of faith. And we pray for those, oh, far too many, who have fallen away, that they might return to the bosom of the family, the Holy Family. Praise be Jesus Christ, now and forever.